And then you get various other positions that are still classified as linguists or look for linguists. And that is a lot to do at the moment with like computational linguistics, where there is a lot of like computers use language regularly. And things like speech to text and translation things and bots now. So I actually worked on a project last year, which was a whole bunch of people were hired to create these sentences basically to teach a bot that was learning South African English. And they're basically like, we need language for the bot to process to learn the language. So that was quite an interesting thing. And that's a potential avenue for you as a linguist.
All right. And your avenue, which one is that? Is that a third option? The one that you chose?
The one that I chose was, I'm just going to go out into the world and see what happens. I didn't make a decision based off my degree. You can do that, but a lot of people don't. So, I mean, it's really up to you and what your interests are. In the last year or two, I've changed my mind quite significantly, and I do want to study again. I applied for a degree overseas and I got in. And it will also be linguistics, but it will be a completely different side of linguistics. Yes, in Wales, Cardiff University.
Yeah, I remember. Congrats. When are you
Never at this point, but we'll see as soon as I can find some sort of money. It's a money issue. So it's difficult to get funding for non-STEM related courses, because it is a social
non-STEM related.
STEM is science, technology, engineering, mathematics. Those are very well funded courses. If you want to go study overseas, those are you're much more likely to get funded for that. Whereas anything else, it's a bit more, it's not impossible. It's not impossible, but it's just a little bit more difficult. So I haven't been able to find any funding, and I will have to find outsider, myself.
Like the science technology kids get all the money, and you just hear, no guys, language.
Well, I mean, you know, well, it is, and you know, that's the difficult thing for me coming from the social science perspective, is that I can see, and I'm sure everyone else who studies this can see the use of the subject in the community or maybe in the government or something like that, but there just isn't a place made for it.
Yeah.
And it's hard to come to terms with, but that doesn't mean you should stop trying, and I don't want to stop trying. So we'll see. Yeah.
On that note, what are some of like the real life applications of, you know, linguistics? Like, as you said, you can see the use of it in the real world. How would you try to convince those STEM people to fund you, you know, because like what value would you
so I mean, there are so many that, like, because the subject is so broad, you could literally use it in any context. But I'll explain from a personal point of view. And I mean, the last master's program I did, it wasn't very useful in terms of changing the world. It was just more a study of language. Right. Whereas what I want to do is a degree in forensic linguistics, which isn't something that's really done in South Africa. In fact, I'm not sure it's done in Africa in general. It's really, really new in South Africa. There are like, I think 11 forensic linguists, so it's small. Yeah. But essentially, it's the study of language and the law. And that's, again, very broad, could relate to anything. But what I specifically want to look at is the language used in policing and specifically police interviews. Because, for example, in South Africa, you know, you have so many languages. All of them are technically official languages, so they all deserve the same language rights. But that's not the way it is. Everything is conducted in English, because that's written in the Constitution, is that should be done in English, which that in itself problematic. And here you have victims and perpetrators, potential people who are being tried as perpetrators who are not, and they're being interviewed in a language that is not their own. And then you have all the translation issues, because translators are expensive, you have to pay for them. A lot of people don't want to do that. It's a whole thing. So that's just one.
the suspect or the victim would have to hire their own translator. Wouldn't the onus be
No.
on the state?
It will be on the police.
Oh,
It
yeah.
will be on the, yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, do they have money?
Yeah.
No.
Rough
So, you know, it happens. I mean, I'm not saying nobody ever gets to translate. I'm just saying that it's, there are some things, especially written in, I think, the Constitution, or not the Constitution, one of the, there's a name for it, can't remember them all off by heart, but somewhere there it's written that people who don't speak English will be provided with a translator if possible, when possible. That little bracket is very important, because you're saying, okay, well, if we can afford it, you can have it. If you can't afford it, you're just going to have to struggle through in English. Sorry.